The woman pushed her insecure disabled husband out for a shopping trip. The CEO resisted with all his strength. He grabbed the doorframe like his life depended on it. The woman pointed at the blazing sun outside. She warned that if he avoided sunlight any longer, mushrooms might start growing on him. The CEO refused to move an inch, but the woman had another plan. She wanted his sharp business instincts to help her find a shop for a dessert store, so she pried his fingers off the door one by one, then forcefully pushed him toward the car. The bodyguards tried to step forward, but the CEO shot them a cold glance. The guards immediately froze. Seeing this, the woman made a shocking move. She lifted the CEO in a princess carry. Then she tossed him straight into the car. Just as he tried to get up, she slammed the car door shut. She happily told him to sit tight, then shouted excitedly, it was time to go. The disabled CEO could only accept his fate. Soon they arrived at the busiest shopping street. The CEO expected ridicule, but the reactions surprised him. Passers-by admired his handsome appearance. Even in a wheelchair, he looked elegant. Soon a crowd gathered around him. The girl suddenly had a brilliant idea. She bought a devil horn headband, then placed it on the CEO's head. She told the crowd cheerfully, photos with this handsome man cost $50. The crowd went wild instantly. Women rushed forward to pay. The CEO was surrounded by cameras. Meanwhile, he heard the girl's thoughts. She sighed with admiration. That wheelchair looked like a throne. It was clearly a king's throne. Hearing this, the CEO smiled unconsciously. When he finally came back to his senses, he noticed the busy street around them, seeing the nearby shops. So he called out to the girl. One of the shops looked perfect. The girl suddenly remembered their mission. She hurried to rescue him from the crowd. The CEO finally relaxed, but the girl looked puzzled. She wondered how he knew about the shop search. She had never mentioned it. The CEO panicked slightly. He feared she might learn his secret. So he quickly said it was just a guess. The girl smiled mysteriously, but she didn't question further. The CEO sighed in relief. Just then, fate played another trick. The girl suddenly ran into her ex-boyfriend. Standing beside him was her scheming sister. They were also the cause of the CEO's disability. The ex-boyfriend kept mocking the CEO's legs. Anger began to rise in the CEO's eyes. But then he heard the girl's thoughts again. The cousin was trying to provoke him deliberately, so he could remove him at tomorrow's board meeting. The CEO forced himself to stay calm, but the girl suddenly made a bold move. She pushed the wheelchair forward at full speed. The wheelchair slammed straight into the couple. Both of them were sent flying. The girl stood there smiling proudly. The scheming nanny secretly stole the disabled CEO's wheelchair. Then she threw it straight into the trash pile. Her plan was simple and cruel. She wanted to stop him from attending the shareholders' meeting. The next morning, the CEO prepared to go to the company, but the wheelchair had mysteriously disappeared. The news instantly crushed his confidence. He quietly thought about giving up the CEO position. He believed the company deserved someone whole and strong, but the girl refused to accept that. Anger flashed across her face. She ran outside immediately. The CEO sat there in silent despair. Just then, the girl rode in on an office chair like a queen. The bodyguards stood behind her like royal guards. Before the CEO could react, she lifted him into her arms, then placed him onto the office chair. She ordered the guards without hesitation, tie him to the chair and take him to the company. Meanwhile, the scheming cousin stood proudly in the meeting room. He was ready to declare himself the new CEO. The clock slowly approached 10, just before the final second arrived. The meeting room door exploded open. The CEO rolled in on a plain office chair. The old butler and the girl pushed him forward proudly. The assistant gasped in excitement. The shocking reversal stunned everyone. The scheming cousin's face turned green instantly. While the CEO stabilized the situation in the meeting room, the girl quietly rushed back home. She quickly found the nanny who stole the wheelchair. Without hesitation, she kicked the nanny to the floor, then grabbed her collar fiercely. She demanded to know the truth. Under pressure, the nanny confessed everything. The scheming cousin ordered her to do it. The girl dragged her toward the door angrily. She planned to expose the cousin, but the nanny suddenly pushed her violently, then grabbed the girl and threw her into the freezer. The heavy door slammed shut. The girl tried to stop the door from closing, but her hand was cut by the metal edge. Pain exploded instantly. At that exact moment, the CEO felt it too, because their bodies shared a mysterious connection. Whatever she felt, he could feel. Meanwhile, the nanny locked the freezer door. She left with the key in her hand. The freezing wind roared inside the freezer. The girl trembled violently. In her heart, she prayed silently. She hoped the CEO would come soon. Back at the company, the CEO sensed something wrong. He tried calling the girl repeatedly, but no one answered. Suddenly, his body began to feel colder and colder. He immediately realized something terrible had happened. He rushed home with the bodyguards. They headed straight for the freezer room. But when he reached the door, something changed. The cold sensation suddenly disappeared. Even the girl's thoughts vanished. The CEO panicked completely. He shouted her name desperately. Then he ordered the guards to break the door. The freezer door was smashed open violently, but inside there was no one. Only the girl's bag lay on the floor. Everyone feared the worst. Then a playful voice appeared behind him. The girl suddenly appeared behind the CEO. She wore a mischievous smile. When she nearly froze inside the freezer, she discovered a small window. She smashed it open and climbed out. Just then, the CEO arrived. Seeing him finally made her relax. The next second, she collapsed into unconsciousness.